Hey, what's up, everybody? Onepeg here. So, the GCX charity marathon just concluded. Well, my block of it anyway. I've kicked it off. Now, I know that I had a really lofty goal for the entire week, and I had a goal for myself, you know, depending on what was going to happen. We weren't really sure, but we ended up accumulating about $25,000, just shy, like $200 shy of $25,000 in 4 hours. So I am just overjoyed and amazed. I knew that it was going to be a little bit less. I figured it would be anyway. And I know that the 148,000 that I generated last year in just 4 hours kind of shot the moon out, but there were some different factors then. One was we had told people that it was only going to be available for the 4 hours that I was live. And then as a last second decision, the people at GCX decided to make that available for the entire week, or the rest of it anyway. This time around, it's available for the whole week. So if you weren't able to make it for my charity block and you still want to get those things for Dark and Darker, or if you still want to donate, you can do that. There will be a link in the description and the pinned comment for anybody that wants to donate. If you want to donate to St. Jude, but you don't want to support quote unquote Iron Mace or me for whatever reason, just don't opt in to get the emote or the campfire. But to reiterate, just, you know, one more time, I was not compensated by GCX. I'm not going to be compensated by GCX in any way. I am not compensated by Tiltify or by St. Jude, and neither is Iron Mace. Iron Mace never has and never will be. So all of the money that you're donating goes directly to St. Jude. GCX doesn't even touch it. They're quite literally putting together this charity event as a way to raise money for St. Jude. That's it. That's it. There is no other exchanging of hands for money. It goes directly through Tiltify to St. Jude. And if you want to vet Tiltify, by all means, go nuts. They have been in this business for a very long time. They've been doing this for a long time. They don't hold on to any of the funds either. They run off of donations, same as all of this other stuff. All of your funds go directly through Tiltify to St. Jude. No one touches anything. Okay? Okay. Now, that being said, there is a trailer that has been getting played for the new underwater map as a way to like kind of hype things up for Dark and Darker. Now, for those of you that want information on that, I have all of that here. I'm going to show you what we've got. And so just as a brief descriptor, and we're going to slow this down in certain spots, at the very intro, this intro scene shows a ship's mast sticking up above the water from what appears to be a shipwreck. Throughout the entirety of this trailer, it looks like they've kind of brushed up quite a bit on their lighting and their water effects. This looks pretty good. The animations definitely look like they're a bit more refined. You can tell that they've got people that really kind of know what they're doing now. For a lot of the guys in the wiki Discord, just for example, they're able to find like certain models like to base things off of. But according to the people at the wiki, it appears as though those models now are getting very heavily modified, right down to the rigging where they're being re-rigged and reanimated. So almost none of the art that is being included in the game now that is animated is anything other than them doing it more or less themselves. They're grabbing the models, it seems, just as an outside shell, and then they're heavily modifying what they've got in front of them. So there's a lot of work actually going into the animations now. It's really not just off the shelf anymore, and that is a testament to how they're trying to up their game, I think. Anyway, the map itself, as this progresses as well, looks very open. There aren't like bona fide module walls like we're used to seeing in all of these other maps. It doesn't really feel like a thing. It seems like they're kind of, at least showcasing for the purpose of this, they're kind of showcasing the idea of having things feel much more open and fluid. I'm sure there are modules, but the way that they're determining borders has obviously changed quite a bit. There is also what appears to be lots of fog over the map. Maybe only at times. I don't know. Maybe they're modifying or changing or messing around with the idea of modifying weather effects. I'm not really sure. But it seems like at certain points in time, there's a lot of mist. At 8 seconds into this video, it cuts to what appear to be pirate mobs. And if you slow this down, one of them in the back is holding some Francesca throwing axes and appears to be a ranged mob that is throwing Francescas instead of using like a bow and arrow or something along those lines. So we do have a slight modification to some of these mobs where they're throwing axes now. You know, pirates are throwing axes instead of like using bows or something along those lines. At 12 seconds, there's also a pirate mob that dies, but they're attacking with a scimitar. And that scimitar has a handguard on it. So perhaps this is a new weapon type that we will have access to. It seems as though most all of the weapon types that are being used in the game by mobs are things that we also end up being able to use at some point. So whether this will be available to us right away or if it'll be available to us later on, I'm not really sure. but I'm pretty sure just about all of the weapon types that are in the game are things that we also have the ability to use. And at 13 seconds, you can have a really good look at the scimitar as it's kind of being wielded and getting ready to slash at somebody. So as it recoils off of the shield, you can get a really good look for how the scimitar is shaped. There's also an underwater section toward the end of this little clip. This is just like a 30-second teaser, but there's an underwater scene showing the swimming animations. There's like glowing anemones, lots of coral, some seaweed, and there also is this partial scene where there's some floating coffins underwater that are kind of like floating vertically, which maybe they're kind of like random spawning for mobs, or they could be loot points, or they could just be pure decoration. I don't really know, but it is kind of like this eerie macabre kind of scene, which I thought was kind of cool. And finally, at 22 seconds, kind of toward the end of this spot, it shows a shot of a lot of pillars and points of interest kind of sticking up above the water in different sections. You can see the wrecked the wrecked pirate ship off in the back to the left there, kind of at about 11 o'clock, with this big pillar kind of in the middle. Now, I'm guessing that this is also going to be utilizing the module system where things will end up getting shuffled around. Perhaps they're toying with the ideas of having modules that are going to be different shapes and sizes and have them more randomly arranged, as opposed to this grid system that they've been used to. I know that that was an idea that they had been toying with in previous Q&A sessions that we had done. But again, this is something that is still about a month out. So we'll have to see what they tease us with moving forward and whether or not it's something that we're going to want to dive into, and whether or not there's going to be enough content really for us to want to stick around still. So yeah, that's what I've got for this video. Thank you guys so much for everything. Please, 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 please consider donating to St. Jude if you haven't already. Please do it through the charity marathon. There's some fantastic people running that. They absolutely deserve your donation. It's a wonderful organization, and I'm more than happy to be able to be even just a minor catalyst for the community to know that this exists and, you know, feel as though contributing is a worthy cause or worthwhile for them and all of your hard-earned money. So I know that that is nothing small, especially in this day and age, and I just want you all to know that I very, very, very much appreciate all of you for donating or even thinking about donating. And if you're not able to donate yourself, maybe mention it to a friend. That would be awesome. Thank you so much again, everybody, for checking out this video. Thank you for participating. Thank you for lending me your eyeballs, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.